Emma sat on the couch, her fingers nervously gripping her phone. 3 days had passed since Leo disappeared. 3 days of silence. He didn't answer calls, didn't go online, as if he had vanished into thin air. Her heart clenched with worry, but inside, something burned stronger than fear. Suspicion. Leo never talked about his past. He avoided questions, joked them off, or simply changed the subject. Emma never paid much attention to it, until she found a hidden flash drive in his desk. Her hands trembled as she inserted it into her laptop. The files were encrypted, but one name kept appearing over and over: Lawrence Crawford. She Googled it and felt a chill run down her spine. Lawrence Crawford was on an international wanted list for cybercrimes. He hacked banking systems, forged documents, and was rumored to have access to government secrets. Emma reread the description. No photo, but the age and physical traits matched Leo's. Could he really be Lawrence Crawford? Her heart pounded. If it was true, then the man she thought she knew had been someone else all along. But where had he gone? She started investigating. She contacted his former colleagues, questioned his neighbors. No one knew where he had disappeared to. His apartment was empty, devoid of any traces of struggle, just a clean, quiet absence. But the deeper she dug, the more she realized. Leo was a ghost. His past had been erased. His colleagues remembered him, but vaguely, without details. His neighbors said he always kept to himself. The more she searched, the more fear crept in. Not just for him, but for herself. On one of the surveillance cameras near his building, she spotted a shadowy figure in a hood watching Leo's windows. Maybe he hadn't just disappeared. Maybe he had been taken. But then, a clue emerged. An email arrived from an unknown address. "Emma, don't look for me. It's dangerous." The letters were uneven, as if written in haste or by a shaking hand. There was no signature, but she knew. It was him. It had to be him. Her heart raced. If he was writing, that meant he was alive. But why did he think she was in danger? Who was behind this? Emma stared at those few words, realizing she had no choice now. She had to find out the truth. She froze. It was him. She could feel it, but she needed to know the truth. Emma traveled to the city where Leo had lived before they met. She wandered the streets, searching for traces of his past, scanning the faces of passers-by, peering into shop windows. At a small cafe where he had once worked, she finally found someone who remembered him. The barista, an elderly man with a kind smile, recognized the name immediately. Leo? Yeah, he was an odd one. Hardly spoke to anyone, kept to himself. But one day, men in suits came here, asking about him. He looked terrified when he found out. The next day, he quit without even collecting his last paycheck. A shiver ran down her spine. Who were those men? Why had Leo run? She felt cold fear tightening around her chest. If they had been looking for him, that meant he knew something. Or worse, they knew something about him. Maybe he hadn't just been hiding. Maybe he had been running from something that could destroy him. Questions burned in her mind, but there were no answers. Only darkness and a growing sense of dread. She found his old address and broke into the empty apartment. The air smelled of dust and abandonment, as if no one had lived there for a long time. Passing by half-empty shelves, she felt her way to the mailbox. Cobwebs clung to the walls. A broken cup lay in the corner, as if someone had left in a hurry. Her fingers sifted through old promotional leaflets until her eyes caught on a thick envelope with her name on it. Inside was a ticket to Vienna and a short note. "Don't ask questions, just come." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. What if it was a trap? But inside her, an unstoppable desire to know the truth ignited. Without hesitating any longer, she grabbed the ticket and stepped out into the night. Emma landed in Vienna, following the only lead she had. At the airport, a letter waited for her in a locker. "Come to the river at midnight." The handwriting was unsteady, as if the writer's hand had been trembling. Her heart pounded faster. She didn't know who had left the message, Leo or someone else. But she had no other choice. Vienna greeted her with a cold wind and the glowing windows of old buildings. She wandered the streets, searching for traces of a past that might never have existed. And now, she stood by the water, wrapping herself tighter in her coat, feeling fear tighten around her breath. The city clock struck midnight. Somewhere behind her, footsteps echoed. She had come. She stood by the river, shivering from the cold and anxiety. Emma, a familiar voice. She turned. Leo. The same, yet different. His hair longer, his eyes wary. Where have you been? Who are you? Her voice trembled. That's a long story. He lowered his gaze. But I'm not Leo. At least, not the Leo you thought I was. Are you Lawrence Crawford? She asked directly. He exhaled. Yes. Emma went pale. I hacked systems, forged documents, but I'm not a killer, not a monster. I just wanted to live free, without control, but hunted by intelligence agencies, pursued by those I deceived. I changed my identity, thought I had started a new life. Then I met you. And for the first time, I wanted to stay. You became something real to me, something that couldn't be forged or erased. I didn't want this life to fall apart, but it is. And I'm more afraid of losing you than losing my freedom. Why did you leave? Because they found me. And now they might find you. Emma stared at him, her heart pounding. So what now? Leo or Lawrence pulled out 2 passports. There are 2 choices. Either you walk away now and forget about me, or you come with me. We disappear together. He looked at her in a way he never had before. His usual coldness was gone. All that remained was exhaustion and fear of losing her. He didn't want this, didn't want to let her go. All these years he had been a ghost, a man without a past, without a present. But with Emma, he felt alive. That was why he couldn't let her stay. It was too dangerous. I had to leave to protect you. His voice was quiet, almost pleading. I couldn't put you in danger, but all this time, you were the only light in my darkness. I wasn't just hiding, I was surviving. But when I met you, I realized that for the first time in a long time, I wanted to stay. He took a step forward, reaching out his hand, but hesitated, as if one wrong move would shatter the fragile moment. If you choose to stay, I will disappear forever. Just know you were the only real thing in my life. She looked at the documents. 2 new lives. Her fingers trembled slightly as they touched the passport cover. Her mind was flooded with thoughts, doubts, fears. Leo watched her, his gaze tense, but deep in his eyes something flickered. Hope. Emma knew this choice would change everything. She exhaled slowly, taking one last look at the familiar world that was about to vanish, and clutched the document in her hands. The decision was made. She hesitated, her fingers tracing the edges of the passport. Questions, doubts, fears, all tangled into one. The man she loved stood before her, but at the same time he was a stranger. She met his gaze and suddenly understood. There was no turning back. Taking a deep breath, she reached for one of the passports. Her life would never be the same again.